This is a presentation about publications, forms, catalogs, records, and manuals we have in this industry. I will be your presenter for today, Crassius Xavier Pascual, and I hope you all learn from me today, and I hope we could all learn from this presentation today. This is to be presented to Mr. Michael Pabustan for the subject Maintenance Publications, Forms, and Records. Before I proceed, I wish everyone their safety and, of course, their family's safety, because I know this is a tough time during this crisis, and I hope we could use our time during this quarantine period to do something productive and to research more about this industry so that we could learn more. And then this is about publications and or the papers that is roaming around in this industry. So publications, I will be reading the definition first, and then I will be discussing it while I read the definitions. So please bear with me. This is quoted from avstop.com. So the titles are publications. So aeronautical publications are the sources of information for guiding aviation mechanics in the operation and the maintenance of aircrafts and related equipment. The proper use of these publications will greatly aid in the effect, operations, and maintenance of all aircrafts. These include manufacturers, service bulletins, manuals, and catalogs, as well as FAA regulations, airworthiness directives, advisory circulars, and aircraft, engine, and propeller specification. So basically, all the papers that has been roaming around or that has been passed from one other to another are basically called publications. So everything you see or all the papers you see that has been used for approval, for inspections, so these are called publications. So we have the bulletins. Service bulletins are one of the several types of the publications issued by airframe, engine, and component manufacturers. And these bulletins may include 1. The purpose of the publication, and 2. The name of the applicable airframe, engine, or component. Third, detailed instruction for service, adjustment, modifications, or inspections, and source of parts, if required, for replacement. And fourth, the estimated number of man-hours required to accomplish this job. So basically, service bulletins are like notice for a system updates. So if you have a smartphone and a system update is bound, you'll be notified by your Android or your iOS phone that it needs to have the software update. And during the software update, you will be informed about how long it takes, what will be the changes, what you should do before the changes. So basically, it's the same. So it will be coming from the manufacturers. We have the maintenance manual. Maintenance manual, from the word itself, this is the manual, or this is the cheat sheet for everyone who would like to maintain their aircrafts. We have the description of the systems such as electrical, hydraulic, fuel control, etc. Lubrication, instructions setting forth the frequency and the lubricants and the fluids which are to be used in the various systems. Third is the pressures, electrical loads applicable to the various system. Tolerances and adjustments necessary to proper functioning of the airplane. Methods of leveling, racing, and towing. So this is pretty much important because without these manual, of course, if you are pretty much well aware or well knowledgeable of the maintenance, you could possibly avoid this. But even if you are knowledgeable, I would suggest to have a maintenance manual on your side. Then we have the overhaul manual. So overhaul manual, basically it's pretty self-explanatory. This is a manual that we need to use if we are going to overhaul something. This is the manual used for assembling things or disassembling things. So overhaul. And we have the structural repair manual. This manual contains information and specific instruction from the manufacturers for repairing primary and secondary structure, typically skin, frame, rib, stringer repairs or covered in the manual. Also included are the materials and fastener substitutions and special repair techniques. So this is pretty much important for all the mechanics. Illustrated parts catalog. This catalog presents components, breakdowns of structures and equipments in this assembly sequence. So this is like a blueprint of all the parts that has a number of sequence. So if you look at it, you'll see number on how to assemble it. Disassemble sequence. So you'll see a number and you just have to follow that sequence through a number. And we have the Federal Aviation's Regulations, or what we call FAR. Federal Aviation Regulations are where established by law to provide for safety and an orderly conduction of flight operations, and to prescribe airmen. Airmen are the pilots, the mechanics, or everyone who is are related to aviation, or everyone that runs the aviation. And limitations. A knowledge of the FAR is necessary during the performance of maintenance, since all work done on aircraft must comply with FAR provisions. So FAR are the regulations that we need to follow. So of course, we have the manuals, we have the catalogs, we have the service bulletins, but of course we need to follow some rules and regulations. And who provides the FAR? Well, FAR is provided by the FAA, or also known Federal Aviation Administration. They are the ones who administer or provide regulations for all the aircraft mechanics or all the airmen. So it could be so that aviation could run smoothly as it gets. And we have the airworthiness directives. A primary safety function for the Federal Aviation Administration is to require correction of unsafe conditions found in an aircraft engine, propeller, or appliance when such conditions exist and are likely to exist or develop in other productions or the same design. The unsafe condition may exist because of design defect, maintenance, or other causes. FAR Part 39, it will be discussed earlier or later. Airworthiness Directives defines that authority and responsibility of the administrator for requiring the necessary corrective action. And then airworthiness directives may be divided into two categories: those of an emergency nature requiring immediately compliance, and those of less urgent nature requiring compliance within, it's up to you, but they would still suggest as soon as possible, but it's not 100% up to you. It could take longer than the urgent. And we have the TCDS, type certificate data sheets. Type certificate data sheets describes the type, design, and set forth the limitation prescribed by the applicable federal aviation regulations. It also includes any other limitations and information found necessary for type certification of the particular model aircraft. Type data sheet contains information regarding with these are a lot, so please bear with me again. Model designation for all the engines for which the aircraft manufacturer obtained approval for use with model aircraft. We have the minimum fuel grade to be used, of course. We have the maximum continuous takeoff ratings of the approved engines, including manifold pressures. Name of the manufacturer and the model designation for each propeller. Airspeed limits, both in mph and knots. Center of gravity range, empty weight, CG range, or center of gravity range. Location of the datum. Means datum is the plural form of data. Means provided for leveling the aircraft. All pertinent maximum weights, number of seats and their moment arms. So basically we still need to, you can't just put 100 people on the back and 10 people at the front. So we need to have this in order for us to have guidelines. All pertinent maximum weights, oil and fuel capacity, control surface movements, required equipment, additional or equipment found necessary for certification, information concerning required placards. So we do have the 88 chapters, and I hope you could all research about this because these are a lot, and uh, these are definitely important in our discussion. So I think that's it for maintenance publics or maintenance publications, uh, catalogs, records, and manuals that we have. I hope I have explained it um, clearly, even though not totally, and even though I failed to, show you pictures of it because pictures of those uh, publications are hard to come by online. So I hope we all learned from today, and I hope we could use our time during this quarantine period to research more about this topic. And I hope you could all learn all the way or all throughout the quarantine period. So be safe and have a great day. Thanks.